What is he saying? Huh? He's saying the most important part of Hajj is Arafah, right? So when he says an-nadmu tawbah, right? He's saying there's other parts to tawbah, but the core reality of it is regret, right? So the core reality of it is that you live your life, right, with an understanding that I feel a sense of regret for what has passed me, but at the same time, I'm perfectly content with Allah, right? These are the two faculties of living an honest, sincere, and imperfect life, right? A flawed life is that you live with that regret, right? You live with the reality that I have much to make up for and I'm not worthy of any blessing. Maybe not even one blessing that Allah has given me, I'm not worthy of it. But it's not about me. As long as Allah is Allah, that's fine with me, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He's comforting the Muslims throughout the Quran, He mentions several times that the enemies of the Muslims, He said, they cannot hurt Allah. So many times He doesn't say they can't hurt you. He says they can't hurt Allah, right? As in to say, those who are connected with Allah are not so worried, right, about themselves, they're worried about Allah. So when someone has a hard time getting over a sin that they've done in the past, or they're obsessed with their imperfections, or that they're not ready, or they're not there, it's actually a manifestation of the ego, right? They're obsessing about themselves, and religion has become this thing that they've used to level themselves with or measure themselves up. So religion becomes this constant way to improve the self. And the idea of Allah gets lost in that whole process, right? So regret for sin, and at the same time the ability to move on from it, shows that your sincerity is actually for Allah. An obsession over it, right, is a sign that you're more concerned about yourself than you are about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the last point that I want to make before I end is that the mindset of tawbah. You know, a lot of people, I had a youth come up to me, he said, you know, how do I pray salat at-tawbah? I told him, what is salat at-tawbah? What is this thing? Yes, there is a hadith that someone who sins and then makes wudu and then prays 2 rak'ah. And so there's a recommended kind of act of salah of tawbah. But tawbah is not salah. Tawbah is not a salah. Tawbah is a mindset. It is a mindset of growth, right? That one is trying to constantly better themselves from day to day. And you don't do that alone. You do it with other people. You find other people that also have this mindset, that I refuse to be the person I was yesterday. I will be better, inshallah. This is the core here, right? And inshallah ta'ala, we can develop a proper suhbah that a companionship that properly reflects this idea of being sincerely imperfect, and recognize that the discourse within masajid over the last 30 years was something, and even before that we could say, was something where, everyone just threw around this word like hypocrite. Like, oh, you don't act according to this, But when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he addressed Abu Dharr for calling, for instance, Bilal radiallahu an, when he addressed him about calling him Ya ibn Sauda, O son of a black woman, right? He didn't say, you're a hypocrite. He said, Fika qit'un min al-jahiliyyah. He said, there's a part of you that still has ignorance in it, right? So he didn't command the lexicon of nifaq. He commanded the concept of jahiliyyah, of ignorance. Because in ignorance, there's a process of redemption. Like you can move on from this. And on top of that, he didn't say you're a jahil. He said, Fika qit'un min al-jahiliyyah. There's a part of you that's still stuck in ignorance, right? So even more, he tamed the concept even more, right? And so we should try to employ the same language that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ employed, right? In our understanding of each other too. Like you are sitting in a room of, inshallah, sincerely, but ultimately imperfect people. And so if every time we witness the flaws of one another, it's, oh, this is more hypocrisy, then where's the improvement? Right? The glue of community is that we're all flawed, and just as Allah says, Tubu ilallah jami'an. He says, this is in the Quran, right? That all of you make tawbah together, right? And so inshallah ta'ala, we ask Allah to forgive us, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our turning to Him. رَبَّنَا رُدَّنَا إِلَى دِينِكَ رُدًّا جَمِيلًا. Oh Allah, return us to your deen, a beautiful returning. وَتُوبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. And accept وَيَقْبِلَ التَّوْبَةَ عَنْ عِبَادِهِ, and accept and push us towards sincere regret and perfect contentment in you. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. بارك الله فيكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Oh yeah, Brother Abdul Man'im, who just came back from Umrah, he has some gifts for everyone if anyone would like to.